This week's shir was sponsored Le'iloi Nishmas Elio ben Avraham Miriam Abadi by his son. For sponsorship opportunities, please contact Royal Shomron at royalshomroncpa@gmail.com or via phone at 054-637-4321. Welcome to this week's episode of Analyzing Chazal. This week we'll be analyzing the commentary of the Mizrahi on Parshas Yitro. Let's go to the pasuk. Perek Yud Ches pasuk Aleph. The pasuk says, "Vayishma Yisrael Kohen Midyon Hosein Moshe Eis Kol Asher Asar Elokim LeMoshe UlYisrael Hamo Ki Yotzia Hashem Es Yisrael MiMitzrayim." And Yisro, the priest of Midyon and the father-in-law of Moshe, heard all the things that God did for Moshe and for Bnei Israel, his nation, that God took them out of Egypt. The explanation of the pasuk. The Torah is telling us the reason that Yisro repented and joined Bnei Israel was because he heard about all the miracles that occurred to Bnei Israel when they left Egypt. The Mizrahi. Shari Bekriyas Yamsuf Hifliga Kosov Ba V'Amra Rochav Shamanu Asher Hovish Hashem Esmei Yamsuf. By the splitting of the sea, the Torah describes how the entire world heard about the splitting of the sea. The explanation of the Mizrahi. The Mizrahi is teaching us the reason that Yisro was inspired to join Bnei Israel when he heard about the splitting of the sea was that everybody had heard about the splitting of the sea and were afraid of God and Bnei Israel. The type of question we'll be using this week is that the commentary is giving a cause for a result which on the surface should not have been necessary to garner the same result. Let's pause for a second. With the information you already have and the type of question we'll be using, can you come up with the question yourself? Okay, here's the question. The Mizrahi explained that the reason that Yisro was specifically inspired by the splitting of the sea was that the miracle of the splitting of the sea was known to all of the nations of the world and had caused them to be afraid of God and Bnei Israel. This implies that if Yisro had just heard about the miracle of the splitting of the sea without it having been known by all the kingdoms in the area, he would not have been inspired to join Bnei Israel. This is hard to understand, as what difference does it make if the entire world was discussing the miracle or not? It does not impact the greatness of the miracle, which should have in and of itself inspired Yisro to join Bnei Israel. The answer, as we always say, comes from the question, which was, does it make sense that Yisro would not be inspired from hearing the miracle of the splitting of the sea if he only heard it himself, while he was inspired when all the nations in the area had heard it? The answer is that we underestimate the power of the many on our thought process. If Yisro had only heard the miracle himself, he certainly would have appreciated its greatness, but it might not have been enough to inspire him to change. However, when everyone was discussing the miracle and the fear they now had for Bnei Israel, the impact of the miracle was so much greater and had much more potential to inspire him. The practical application. In our lives, there are many times where we might hear a shir or see something inspiring in a sefer or at something that happened that inspired us. It is important to bring up the inspiration and discuss it with others as well, as sometimes inspiration we have can be fleeting, but if we tell it to other people and they also get inspired by it, seeing the inspiration of others will enhance our own inspiration and increase the likelihood that we will actually act on the inspiration. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and we'll see you next week for Parshas Mishpatim.